Thank you for joining, everyone. My name is Alex Daniluk, Chief Strategy Officer at AVANT, and today we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to our heart, the channel and what makes it tick. I'm joined today with Ian Kennegar, our CEO and co-founder of AVANT, and he's going to take us through the cloud channel survey that we conducted just 2 short months ago.
Nice. Well, thanks for having me on the show, Alex. This is my first time. I'm excited. The content's going to be really cool and unique for you guys, so stay close with us. First, let me, as always, thank our Battle Lab sponsors. Without CenturyLink, Evolve, Masergy Hosting, and TalkDesk, we couldn't do this for you. We're presenting to you out of our Battle Lab, which is one of the most foremost thoughtful places in the world. Come bring your clients. Come get trained here. It's amazing. So today, I'm going to start with a few house cleaning items. Next month's battle briefing is going to be all about security. Security is probably the hottest topic in today's technology conversation, and we need to arm this community with more tools, more resources, and more providers. So next month, we're going to talk about security. We are super lucky to have Leo Tadeo join us. For those of you who might have been at our Special Forces event last month, Leo was there in person presenting to us. He's the CISO for Sextera, formerly the FBI agent in charge of Special Forces or Special Operations Cyber Division in New York, had over 400 agents working for him, took down some of the biggest and baddest cybercrime guys in New York. He's got real-world experience, great examples, so don't miss it. Put it on your calendar.
He's an honorary AVANT Special Forces.
He definitely is, and a great guy. So, Special Forces was outstanding last month. We had over 450 people attend. Tons of value, more demand for more Special Forces, so we've taken this to the road with our boot camps. Our next boot camp will be in Denver at the Halcyon Hotel in Cherry Creek. It'll be August 2nd, so be there. I think it's filling up fast as far as I know.
It is. We just opened up registration literally 2 days ago, and I see people registering from the West Coast, somebody from Seattle, somebody from California, going to be flying into Denver for the boot camp.
Nice. Outstanding. So again, August 2nd, be there. We'll have another one in the fall as well throughout the rest of the year in market for you guys. Okay, so let's reset here. Today's conversation is about the Cloud Channel Survey. We launched this last year. We put it together at the beginning of this year. For those of you who know Alex, you're probably familiar with many of the amazing events he's helped put it together with the rest of our marketing team. He really is a mad scientist around a lot of what we do here. But part of his role as Chief Strategy Officer is to really be thoughtful, forward-thinking, and come up with unique ideas. So I got to give him a lot of credit for the channel survey. So we partner with both channel partners and hosting Spectrum, Masergy, and Tulare Networks, and thank you guys for contributing to put together what we think is one of the most interesting, unique, and value-added surveys I've ever seen in this channel, because specifically it's talking about what we do. I've seen Gartner, I've seen Forrester, I've seen other stuff that is so broad and it's hard to really pinpoint the value. This one pinpoints what we do and how we make money every single day. So I'm going to give Alex a little question here. You know, why did you come up with this idea?
Yeah.
What did you think it would do for us?
Well, you were just saying that, you know, Gartner or other folks, they do a lot of great enterprise research and studies in that space, but we're a channel sales enablement company. We want to know what makes the channel tick. And that's what this survey was about. It's about being analytical about what makes you successful, when are you successful, and why. And we came away with 3 key findings that we're going to talk about for the rest of this presentation. But really the takeaway is, what is the optimal portfolio that makes you most successful in the market today with cloud services? What services should you be selling? What are the attributes? What actually makes you tick, and why are you potentially successful in selling the most services in the market? And then, okay, if you're not, where is your risk? Like, what services are you behind on, and how do you quantify what that risk might be? So we came up with this thing we call the channel risk score that we'll talk about.
Okay, yeah, so there's a big difference between qualitative and quantitative data. And for the first time, I think we have some real data to start planning our futures.
Right.
I think companies are getting bigger in this space. The bets are getting bigger and more expensive. So we need to make smarter decisions. And I hope some of this data helps you do that. So we'll jump into it. So what I found compelling and amazing is that we had over 14,000 data points from deals sold in 2017. We got so much feedback. Our cross-section of data was amazing, and it pulled out of the product categories that you see below on this slide. What was also really interesting is that we had a cross-section of sellers that was so deep and so thorough. I think the confidence level in our data is extremely high.
And that's also why we partner with channel partners, right? Because this is not about the AVANT ecosystem. This is about the channel out there everywhere. You know, you look at this data, agents, MSPs, VARs, consultants, small guys, big guys. And the interesting thing is it doesn't matter who you are, they're all selling cloud services, where before, if you sold hardware, only certain people could sell hardware.
Yeah.
And so, you know, cloud services really, you know, changes the game as to who's able to get in the game.
Right, so the game's getting bigger. More people can enter this space because the barrier of entry is lower in terms of what products they can offer.
Exactly.
And to reiterate, this isn't just about Avant's down channel. So these are partners who sell for us, who don't sell with us. I mean, I think they all should sell with us. But it's a broad section of data across the entire nation, which I think is really interesting. From small businesses to single-owned companies to multi-billion-dollar publicly traded value-added resellers, from MSPs to agents, such a cross-section. And this is what we're seeing, more people entering this space, which is actually very exciting for all of us.
Yeah, which means you got to be better and better at what you do to succeed.
Yeah, so one of the first things you talked to me about was this expansion of services and catalog. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, you know, out of all the services that you see down below, on average, most people sold about 4 services. And we asked them, well, how many services of these do you think you're going to sell in about 2 years from now? So it's going to continue to grow. They're going to expand to 6 services. But what we really wanted to then find out is, okay, what portfolio of services made you most successful? So, you know, as we sort of look at the data here, it really, the set of services that people sold fell into 3 major buckets of categories. And you want to maybe talk about those?
So this first bucket of category represented 42% of our respondents. And many of them are the traditional voice and data network sellers. These guys have been doing this for a living for quite a long time. They're pioneers in our space.
I think I know a lot of those guys.
So do I. They're great guys. And a lot of these guys are saying, where are we going, right? And where they started to go is to dabble into UCaaS and COLA, which was a little bit of an easier extension. But what was more unique and very interesting is these cloud-centric providers, or should I say sellers out there. These guys are leading with advanced solutions, things like SD-WAN, IaaS, security, office productivity, and pulling through traditional voice and network services.
Right.
I see more and more people entering our community with this approach than maybe 15 years ago where we left AT&T and started selling network services. So a different type of community, different type of personnel operating in this space.
Exactly.
And then this last group that represented the final 29% were application-centric. So a little bit outside of what we do as a core, they focus on office productivity, SaaS, and IaaS. We're going to kind of remove them a bit from the conversation because I think they're a long throw.
Yeah, they're sort of on an island. You can see they're starting to dabble into IaaS, so they're kind of going from the top down.
Okay. So this next data point is what really jumped off the page. This is the 5-alarm fire of where if you're not positioned for the future, you're going to have some disruption in your own backyard. So when we look at this data, we looked at cloud-centric sellers who led, again, with advanced technologies. They ended up surpassing the majority of revenue sales for traditional data network and voice services. So think about this. If you're the 42% who've been doing this for your whole life, and now you're selling less than 50% of the available revenue, what are you going to do?
Exactly. And in fact, you know, I've heard a lot of data network people say, well, SD-WAN's going to, you know, go against my MPLS and it's going to, you know, go after that revenue. Well, the data almost says the opposite. If you get in the game with SD-WAN and IaaS and security and some of these other services, you're going to outsell those folks that haven't jumped in yet. Yeah,
you're going to outsell them. You're going to be out-positioned, right? You're going to be positioned at decision-making level, CIO level. You're talking about business outcomes and less about speeds and fees and pricing. And I think when you do that, the data network stuff's just table stakes, right?
And we've believed this in our heart, right? We've always said you got to get in the game on the cloud-centric solutions because it's going to sell your data and voice. What's really I'm so excited to see is that the data proves out. When we surveyed the audience, it proves out, and that should be a 5-alarm fire for all the network and voice-centric guys.
Well, I would say the biggest example, and the best one is us, AVANT. So when we were founded in 2009. We were cloud-centric. We were kind of the first crew out there to go cloud-heavy, but we ended up being one of the biggest wireline providers in the nation because we pulled that as a natural extension. So being top with CenturyLink Level 3s and those guys was kind of easy when we paved the path with some of the challenging stuff like UCaaS or IaaS. So just as a business on our own, we see this, and I'm glad the data represents that. We made some smart decisions and got pretty lucky at the same time.
Yeah, like I always like to say, they came to us for cloud and they stayed for network.
I love that. Should coin that. Okay, so we're going to get into the next group of partners. We're calling these partners lean forward and lean back. So when the survey results came back to us, there was a subset that forecasted higher revenue growth, more volume of deals. You know, they were pushing the envelope in terms of growth. There's a subset that came back that said their data showed lower amount of revenue, lower deals. And so we said, what's the difference? Like, they're both successful firms and business models, but what do they need? What are they looking for to be different and succeed with their goals, right? So we layered 51 attributes against these two communities and said, what's most important? And we're going to extrapolate an example here for you guys. All right. So if we look at lean back and lean forward, and we look at these attributes, the first one that pops off the page for us is vendor criteria. So a lean back defined partner was more concerned around deal registration or deal protection. So what they were looking for is to put their arms around their current existing clients, or maybe a couple new logos they get that year, and just own it. They're more about securing revenue. We looked at lean forward. All they talked about was responsiveness. So they wanted their providers and their partners to be more responsive so they can grow faster and move faster, which is really interesting. Drop down the next criteria, lead generation. So lean back, email campaigns, leads from others, kind of like a more traditional style of growth,
Old school.
right?
I mean, that's what people used to traditionally do. You know, hit the send button on the email. Can I get a lead? Where are those Glengarry leads?
Right. I did that for a while, so
right.
Many Glengarry cold call leads.
Right.
The lean forward partners are starting to be a little smarter about their approach. They're looking for, how do I network with associations that are involved maybe in CIO arena, right? Or how do I leverage social media? Because the next buyer, the future buyer is a millennial anyway, so how are we going to attack that? So their needs are much different, very compelling, right? Look at resources. So in terms of lean back partner, they're talking about speeds, product categories, catalog stuff. Where the lean forward partner says, hey, I want comparative analysis. I want you to tell me what's the difference between this and that and how I compare them, right? How does it affect the business? And what was really interesting and true to our heart here at AVANT was they wanted more sales training. They wanted to know, okay, you've got a technology, I can compare, contrast, understand where it fits, but how do we go talk about it, right? Like, teach me the language, which is what we do a lot of pitch training here at AVANT. So that was really cool to see. What do you think about this decision-making criteria?
Yeah, so I mean, as I look at the two of these, the lean forward guys, I look as they're the hustlers. They're the guys that are out there pushing the envelope. And decision criteria, we ask them, so how does your customer make a decision on what technology they're going to buy? And I firmly believe that a sales guy, a good salesperson, can influence how a customer makes a decision. So the lean back folks, the guys that sold the least amount of revenue, came back and they said, oh, my customers want total cost of ownership, price. The lean forward guys, the guys that sold the most revenue, said, oh, increased competitiveness. This is going to help my customer be competitive in the market.
Very interesting. What about this value added section?
Yeah, so value add, we also asked everybody that took the survey, so what do you tell the customer that your proposition is? How do you represent yourself? Lean back folks said, I'm a pre-sales consultant. I can bring a whole bunch of vendors that I can help you connect with those vendors and choose what you want. The lean forward people said, I have unique IP. I actually can add value to the decision-making criteria and selection process. And so they're, all of those attributes, it's amazing. I mean, again, in our gut, I think we sort of felt this, but again, the data was dramatic. Everybody on the left-hand side completely outsold everybody that led with the, compared to the folks on the right-hand side.
Yeah. I mean, I love seeing this data, too, and we've built our company around just this lean forward thought process, so it played out pretty nicely for us, and how we can help lean back players become lean forward.
Exactly.
The days of 10 quotes on a spreadsheet, maybe you can continue to drive some business that way, but that's not the future, right? The future's got to be different. You've got to bring something unique to the table, and that's what we see in our top partners. Okay, so where does this all land? So we put together what we call this channel risk score. So basically the concept is, what's behind the corner? What's around the corner? What's coming at you? Where is the risk to your business model? And then how do you address it? How do you stand up against the next competitor or get ahead of them? So the way we did this is we looked at this quantifiable data. And I'm going to extract one example, okay? We keep picking on the data network seller. I mean, I love those
They're
guys.
the most at risk.
Yeah, they're the most at risk. They built this channel for the most part.
Right.
But unfortunately, they're the most at risk because things are moving so fast. So let's look at a data network seller. They say 45% of the time they're trying to pitch an advanced solution like security. Actually, 45 sounds high to me. I was impressed that even that number was anywhere near that. Whether they're having success or not, we still need to uncover that option. But it's interesting. But here's the risk. The guys leading with security as a service or cloud security are selling data network services 82% of the time.
Right.
So they are pulling through, this goes back to our earlier point, the table stakes in their mind, because they're positioned at higher levels, talking about more complicated technologies, and they're pulling through that WAN.
Yeah, and if you think about it, security, I mean, the security market is just on fire. There's over 1 million open job recs out there. People cannot hire people fast enough. And so having a security conversation is super easy. You get in the door. If you're a security person, you're selling security, and you do data networks too, you're probably going to find some data network opportunities too.
So if a data network guy goes up a security guy, you're saying the win rate's going to be lower.
Exactly. And so we quantified it by looking at the difference of those percentages. We came up with this like risk score of 37.
Okay. So let's expand this conversation a little deeper here. So we took this data network seller and we went out a little further into this product category scenario. So if you're a data network seller, now you can look at what am I not selling?
Right.
And what am I not selling, which creates the largest risk against me? So this is the scoring system. So we gave you the number one example of security, but it looks like there's other products which, you know, as a data network selling, maybe I'm good at security. What would be the next one I pick, right?
Exactly. And, you know, I look at that bottom one, SD-WAN, and I sort of look at the reverse of that security question. I was impressed that 45% of the folks were actually selling security. I am shocked that there's that much of a difference between the SD-WAN sellers and the data network sellers. There's still a 23-point gap between those two, because if you're selling data networks, I mean, that's the easiest thing.
It should be a natural extension, right?
Totally.
My assumption is the SD-WAN leaders are talking applications, right? They're not even talking transport anymore. They're talking about how do I layer applications in, how do I get to the cloud, how do I prioritize different things.
Right.
Which that is a different conversation than let me write down your MPLS network and move it.
The other thing in the actual survey you can download, you can compare yourself. If you're a voice seller, how do you compare? If you're a UCaaS seller, how do you compare? So we go beyond just data network sellers. The survey has a lot more information that you could look at and compare yourself.
Yeah, and AVANT stacked up our approach in practice areas. So each one of these categories for us is a practice area. So you can plug into a practice area if you want to grow. So if you think colo might be your biggest issue, we got an entire strategy around that. You can plug in overnight and take it to market. All right, we'll keep rolling here. So we got the full report on our website. We're giving it away for free publicly. It's goavant.net/survey. If you need some help interpreting the results, you can get a hold of us. We'll help you out with that. But it's publicly available out there. I think this community's got so much headroom for us. It's exciting.
Yeah, so we're also open to questions. Please let questions come in, but let us sort of summarize some of the key points that we just talked about and what you just heard. Selling cloud services is probably the biggest thing that you could do in terms of improving your overall network, the optimal solution of sales. By including SD-WAN, IaaS, security as a service together with UCaaS, data, and voice, you're going to drive more revenue than just continuing to play your old playbook of data, voice, colo, et cetera. The second thing, lean forward. Really take an introspective look at yourself. There's a lot more data in the survey as to what a successful partner looks like versus someone that, might be struggling with the volume.
So it's time to grade yourself? Things are moving too fast?
Yeah, take a look at, how would you have picked some of the, answers to some of these questions? Are you a lean forward person or a slow grow Joe, as we call them, lean back person, right?
Okay.
And then lastly, what we just talked about, look at your channel risk score. Look at the services that you're typically selling, see what you're not selling, and what the percentage gap is between what the other guy might be selling and, the risk that might pose of them getting into your account and maybe cross-selling your services.
All right, great point, Alex. Okay, so how can we help you? Obviously, we need to pitch ourselves here for you, but
Yeah, and we also need to fix the font on here. So my apologies for that. That's my fault for not going through this on this slide deck.
You got us this far. We're happy.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you look at these practice areas, which I mentioned earlier, we start with UCaaS. UCaaS, quite honestly, is the fastest growing advanced technology. You've heard this before. It's about 9 to 10% penetrated. We got a $40 billion market ahead of us and growing. It's a great place to start. We've got all the top providers in the portfolio. We believe we sold more handsets or seats than anybody in the U.S., over 350,000, which is really exciting. So we have the experience in the portfolio to do that. SD-WAN, a very progressive portfolio. It took a lot of work for us to curate it, right? So we had to go out and really strike new deals with companies like Telaria or CloudGenix and others to bring a comprehensive practice area to you guys.
Exactly.
So our engineers are trained. They're the best of the best. They can help you guys expand and get into this space if you need assistance. We're really excited about the growth, 100% growth for us year over year in this category. If you look at colo, one of those easy things a lot of people forget about, we have over 1,600 data centers in our portfolio. If you use our Battle app, which I hope you do, we've got that cool data center finder. You can wow your clients and drill down on all these co-location facilities. If there's ever a colo deal on the table, you guys need to lock that up. It's easy business, and it's sticky, too. Next one is IaaS. So IaaS and all of these providers, I think we're one of the top partners, if not the top. We've got a lot of experience doing this for over 6 to 8 years now, focused in this category, and they're big chunky deals, average size between $35K a month to $100K a month.
Right.
And nobody's talking about these providers to your customers. There's really very few consultants or agents who even know of these players and are bringing them to the table. It's your best answer against Google or Azure, and many of these companies partner with them, so that's a better solution anyways. And last but not least, where we started here is security. So we've gone out and brought a portfolio to the table that's beyond just the security products that the carriers offer. While some of them are very good, customers want to look at core focused security options. TrustWave is kind of our new crown jewel in this space, but we've had a lot of success with these other players, including Masergy. So we've got our engineers trained on security right now. We can be your backstop if you need some help getting into that space. But it's time to get interested and start to learn and train yourselves in all of these categories, so we can help you do that.
So I was just passed a question that came in. Steven's asking, my firm is looking to be more cloud-centric, based, I guess, on the survey results here. So how do you recommend that they start? And while you do that, I'm going to fix this slide.
Okay. You are a perfectionist. All right, so I probably answered this throughout this presentation already, but I'm happy to summarize and help you out, Steve. So let's self-evaluate. Let's look at the survey results and see where your deficiencies are, see where your gaps are, where you think the competition's coming, and let's build a strategy. Like I said earlier, we've got practice areas in all the technologies. We can train you, we can enable you with the right technology, teach you how to use the Battle app, we can work through sales pitches. So I really like the idea of picking one practice, taking 60 to 90 days, get your team organized, honed in, put some marketing around it as well, and attacking that. That's our playbook. We do this every day for our partners, so it's a really easy question to answer.
And the thing that AVANT really does a great job with new partners that are entering into a new space is we make it easy because we have the resources on the back end so that if, let's say you have never sold IaaS in your life, you have never talked about Rackspace, you don't know how to talk about it, don't worry. Get the at-bat to us and use tools like our IQA forms. As soon as we get somebody like Bill on the phone, they'll take the ball, they'll move the needle forward, and you'll learn by getting engaged. And then each time you'll get better and better, and you're in the game.
Yeah. Have no fear. We've got your back. We make it easy. What I don't want is somebody else to get into your client offering a security product that you could have talked about. Next thing you know, they're pulling the WAN deal away from you. So jump in the game. We believe we can back you up 100%. It's a great question.
Yeah, I got a really great question that was just passed to me here. So so we want to be a lean forward. It sounds like they believe in it. And the question is, so how do I develop my own unique IP as an agent?
Nice. That's another great question. A softball. Well, if you've been close to AVANT, we've created some amazing IP for you. So my first answer is repurpose ours. Every day we're spending the time doing the research, we're building the matrices, we're putting together content that you can put in front of your customer.
Yeah.
You can put your logo on it. If you're committed to us, our new app brands everything for our partners downstream, so you can look and feel really amazing. You can use the app as your own IP. It doesn't matter to us. I think we've got so much to start with. It's going to differentiate you in the field day one, and we've invested a lot in that as well.
Yeah, and just to hit on those two things that you actually mentioned there, the app and the matrices. Those two things are like the easy button, again, for creating unique IP. I've heard so many agents tell me they use the app in front of a customer and immediately started to look at other opportunities that they didn't even originally go in and talk to them about. It's amazing. I'm going to pull in another interesting stat regarding Battle App. We asked our agents, because I'm a data geek, right? So
yeah,
I keep diving into data. But
you do have a patent yourself.
I do, but let's not talk about that. Okay, so about a third of our agents are currently actually using the Battle App in front of customers, and that's what we've been telling them to do. And then we looked at the data as to who's using it in front of customers. Those agents generated 300% more revenue than the people that didn't use it in front of customers.
Wow. That's huge.
So that's an amazing example. And in part, it's because they're showing their unique IP, which is really us inside, to the customer.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when people think IP, they think patent. It's got to be a product. But I think process can be an IP. So having a very consistent, repeatable sales methodology, which includes tools and presentation material, is IP in itself. Some of our top partners have a process of engagement that outbeats everyone because it's professional, it's organized, like the QA assessments being a part of it, leveraging our engineering desk. So if you want to build a process to help couple with the IP and the tools, I think that's where you win every time. We're happy to do that. Again, that's kind of what we do for a living here, and we coined that our sales enablement strategy.
Awesome. Any other questions coming in at this time? Not at this time. So if you still have a few questions, there's a few minutes here to get those in. But boot camp, let me just reemphasize that. Special Forces, you've probably seen us on social media with the event that we recently had. We've taken that event, which is 2.5 days, and jam-packed it into a day and taking it around the country. Again, we're going to be at Denver next, August 2nd. Used to live in Denver, so I'm excited about coming back there and visiting everybody that's out there. And so we're going to take you through pretty much a Special Forces event in a day. Put your boots on, strap yourself down, because it will be exhausting and exhilarating.
It always is. I also offer, if you're coming out to Denver and you want to sit down and talk about how to become lean forward, we can set some one-on-one meetings to the side and really build some plans with you guys. I mean, that's where we really develop the best and most intimate relationships that grow the fastest. So I put that out there. We do that anytime, especially here in Chicago. It's a great place to come and see the Battle App. But if you're in Denver, let's meet up and do that.
Awesome.
And one more reminder.
Yeah, the security battle briefing, again, security is the hottest, fastest growing segment of our business and the industry, I think, in general. We're going to have some special speakers. The first one we announced was Leo Tadeo, formerly Special Operations at New York FBI. He took down some of the meanest, baddest cybersecurity folks while he was there. He had over 400 people on his staff.
It's pretty amazing.
He has this story that he likes to tell. He can do scary, or oh my God, or I'm packing my bags and shutting the lights off. He has some interesting stories that I'm sure he's going to share at this next security briefing.
Okay. So put it on your calendars, make it happen. I guess as we summarize today, again, we started with this. I think this is the first time we've had quantitative data to help make better decisions. And as AVANT's business models continue to evolve, we want to bring more research to you. We want to outpace Gartner and Forrester. We want to bring you real-world information and research so you can make decisions on, not just guesses, right? Because we're touching deals every single day. Our IQA forms, I think we saw 8,000 last year. So we're seeing the trends. So we're a heartbeat away from what's actually happening. We're not writing book reports either. We're bringing you real hard stuff, and this is still fresh.
Right.
So jump into it. Call us if you want to discuss it. We're really proud of it. Alex, great job putting this together. It's an awesome initiative for us, and I see us doing more of this in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. We'll see you in a month at the Security Battle Briefing. Bye now.